The message for my people.
Nick Dad, baby. We the new label.
Come on. Now this the black sheep sticking its home. I need a crib like I'm Gatsby.
I need it.
In hand, just understand my
Pockets that deep.
with nothing to prove. I ain't got nothing to do.
Wait, he was waiting.
Hanging we gotta do that over.
That's gonna benefit.
Ready?
Yeah.
Boom.
A
And you're
double
gonna edit
fist.
this later.
Bro, you gonna leave him hanging?
Cross dissolve into that.
Cross dissolve.
Right,
Yeah, that's
go.
that premiere editing right there.
It's a
You know
big
what I'm saying?
time video term.
Let's go, man. Welcome back to Veterans Minimum, the #1 sports betting vibe on the planet.
In the world.
We are here. My guy George sitting in the middle here. George Carmona at Mr. George Carmona. Sorry, what is it? This is a bunch of-
Mr_George_Carmona.
Yeah.
Lots of
a lot of underscores.
A lot of underscores.
in the Boston.
And then we got the man Wayne in the building, the creator,
Popular.
the guy who got fried for PJ Washington takes. And then I just saw so many news outlets being like, "Yo, the new big three."
Told y'all.
And I was like, "Yo, Wayne said that
Told
first."
y'all.
on
I've
here.
been calling it since he got there, man. Y'all got to start listening to me.
Bro, you know, he's a great case study because I always feel this way about a lot of guys in every sport too. How often, it might be like almost every player in the league that doesn't pan out, that just go to shit situations. And then when they do find themselves in a better situation like this, how their career changes. He kind of reminds me the impact that he's having, like Aaron Gordon. When Aaron Gordon went to Denver, this was a guy who on the Magic, you're trying to build your whole team around. And it's not working out. It's kind of growing stale. And then he goes to Denver and you're like, yo, he's amazing if he's my third, sometimes fourth option. Is that what you saw with PJ going there?
So, yes, everything you're saying is true, but I also think that from a player standpoint, it's an individual. You have to be patient individually with your situation because as rookies, you can't help where you land. The goal is to get in the league. And how you choose to develop your skill set and the patience you have determines your longevity. In PJ's case, he has a height, he has a talent, he has a scoring ability. He just was married to the wrong woman in that sense, right? Which was the Charlotte Hornets. They didn't really treat him the way he was supposed to be treated. So what you're seeing now is a person going from being mistreated to a house full of love. And you start to flourish that way. You know, he's being watered. And he's with 2 Hall of Famers.
Yeah. No.
Right. So his job is a lot easier now. And he can focus on like the micro shit versus the macro. We're not really paying attention to his, like the big things that he's doing. It's the little stuff that he's doing now that's getting them buckets, that's getting them in there. And all his baskets come so easy.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's just, not to cut you off, but I think it's just about being patient with yourself and the situation that you're in. Ultimately, especially being in the NBA, which is, you and I both know, it's short-lived for a lot of players, bro. After 2 years, a lot of them not there no more.
It's true. It's true.
Before I ask you your thoughts on this, and not just with PJ Washington, but just in general, I was watching the European final, and because it was Greek teams that was in it, and my dad, like I was telling you guys before we started recording,
Right.
we were having the conversation about how they're comparing this year's NBA draft to if you have the #1 pick, it's really like the number 8th pick in other years, and how one of the Euro dudes like decided to not come out and whatnot. And we were talking, Wayne was talking, and he said, bro, Euro guys are running the NBA right now. Like,
It's the truth.
I think the last 4 MVPs are all not Euro, but international, right? Embiid, Jokic, and Giannis.
Yeah.
And then like you being a European guy, it's no longer that stigma of like, oh, you're soft or whatnot. Like the game has changed so much.
It has.
And, you know, I was watching, the reason why I bring this up is because I'm watching Panathinaikos, it's a Greek team. Chris Nunn was playing over there.
Mm-hmm.
And like, bro, he had like 25, balling, you know? And like the game has changed where these guys short-lived, to your point, where, yeah, you might be a lottery pick, but you might be out the league in 2-3 years. You might not get that second contract.
You don't pan out.
Yeah.
The league is what you can do for me now, industry. So if you go in the league and you're making a difference now for that team, then they'll keep you.
Yeah.
But they're not really into developing players anymore. And I think college is going there too with the transfer portal. They really want high school kids. So, I mean, it's just where it's at right now. And I think, not to say it's a good or a bad thing. I just think that you got to come prepared.
Yeah.
You got to be ready to be an NBA player now. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I think the development part, to your point, has kind of shifted. I feel like everything kind of is mapped after baseball, like where if you live in the Dominican Republic and you're 14 years old, they're only going to look at you until you're 16. And if you're not good by when you're 16, you're gone. I bet soccer's the same way. And the NBA is headed that way where all these players in Europe, I mean, I've seen nothing but Luka Doncic highlights playing the Celtics, playing the Warriors over there in Europe when he was like 17 years old. And so he's like, okay, this makes sense. They're seasoned. They're ready for it. Today's NBA doesn't necessarily prepare you for that. To go back to the first point, though, when you said how amazing it is for some players to go from a bad situation to then, lucking out by going to the Mavericks, how about Grant Williams playing for both teams? So think about the guys that were actually in good spots, but got kicked to the side multiple times. Grant Williams, I mean,
it's the Grant Williams Bowl.
That's the worst situation that could have possibly happened. No doubt.
I think for Grant, I think he's more worried about the antics than actual basketball.
Yeah. I mean, he's solid. It's crappy because he was a solid player. Like,
he is, but I think he gets too caught up in the antics and the emotional aspect versus we have to win this game. He's obviously, we've seen him step to a couple guys and that's cool, but y'all down 26.
I know, but you need that sometimes, bro. I'm missing Marcus Smart right now. I would love Marcus Smart.
Depending on the culture of the team and depending on what happens in that locker room, because that's really what the determining factor is how the players, what's going on once you guys leave the game. And I think that was Grant Williams' downfall. Is I think I don't think he's a good teammate.
It could be.
Yeah,
it could be.
Very true.
You mentioned something about soccer, and it's a gripe that I've had for the longest time. And then we'll get into the NBA Finals, but it's a pretty cool discussion that we're having now. With soccer and like the ages, how you were saying, and the situations, the one reason why the U.S. is not going to be as good as they should be, because no one has more resources in athletics than the U.S. The issue is when you're 14, 15, 16, 17 years old here in the States, bro, if your kid is a wizard in soccer and you go to people, I'm going to take him out and put him in this soccer academy, what are people going to tell you here in the States?
Why would you do that? He needs to graduate from high school. He needs to get a diploma.
Yeah.
He needs to be around kids his age. He needs to be a kid.
Yeah.
He needs to play multiple sports.
Yeah. Where in Europe or in South America, they're like, yo, this kid is nasty. He has that it factor.
It's soccer all day, every day.
They put him in there. So what happens is when you're a normal, you're a good soccer player in the US, you go to high school and then you go to college, right? Say you get drafted to the MLS. Bro, you're 22, 23 years old. In Europe, you're not a prospect. You're considered old.
Yeah, that's a vet.
Like you're an old player. So then when the American guys go and they play in Copa Americas, like the US is going to play in a couple weeks, they go to play in the World Cups. I'm 22 and American. You're 23 and French. Bro, you got 7 years of professional soccer experience on me.
Easy.
Where I'm stepping in and I'm going up against other college kids that just graduated and now we're in the MLS. So like it's not the same 23 years old. And then I think that's something that happens with like NBA guys, happens in even in hockey also. Like when you graduate high school, you go and play juniors. And then when you go to college, you're a lot older. And if you get drafted, you're like 23. But then you have some guys that go into the league at 18, 19. And it's like, bro, you're always
like the
behind.
wear and tear on your body. With a lot of these sports, it's it determines your longevity in it. So going through all these different tiers and stages it's not a benefit to the organization that wants to pay you all this money, because now they're looking at you from a short-term asset versus a long-term asset.
Yep.
And that's the determining factor on whether you're being kept or swept. We need you or we don't, or we're looking for someone younger. That's really always what it's about.
It was an interesting point in sports when recruiting shifted from, I want the mature, well put together athlete that has been through it all and has the experience and can actually add value to then just like, bro, it's like us gambling on like a 150 to 1 odds to select who the next superstar is going to be. And that's, I mean, how long until people are, starting to play professionally at like 13, 14?
Well,
we just got laws again.
I think we just go through cycles though too. Because you look like I'll use my team for example, the Knicks, right? The core of the team, it's all guys that were in college for 3-4 years.
Yep.
Like the Nova Knicks. So it's the 19-year-old prospect is dope. And now if you're 19 years old and you were a hot commodity coming out of high school, bro, if you don't declare for the draft, everyone's like, damn, what's wrong with Wayne? Why Wayne not coming out?
He's old.
The draft? He's old now. But you're like, yo, he's 21. And that was the other thing, bro, just in general. And then we'll get into the NBA finals. I love discussions like this, but dude, it drives me crazy when Andrew Wiggins got traded to Golden State, he was still 23.
Yeah.
It's like, yo, these guys are so young, why are you giving up on these assets? But then on the flip side, maybe the asset wants to be given up on to go to a different situation like PJ.
Well, I think the main word that you're using is asset.
Yeah.
So what do you do in an asset when there's value there?
Try to sell high.
It's buy and sell.
Yeah.
It's buy and sell.
Yeah. It's a business.
It's buy low. It's buy low, sell high.
Yep.
So when he starts to get good, maybe you can get 3-4 players. Because again, you're talking about a league where it's a what you can do for me right now. And they didn't have time to wait for Andrew Wiggins to mature. They don't have that much time. The coach's job is at risk. The GM job is at risk. And plus, you got other players that are getting old.
Yeah.
That's trying to win right now. So what pieces can we trade this piece for these more mature, stronger pieces that are league ready so that we can start winning now? You guys can deal with Andrew Wiggins as he matures because you guys have Draymond, Clay, and Steph.
Like what you said about PJ going to Dallas, he got 2 Hall of Famers with him.
There you go.
So he's stepping into a situation where
they
guys
can
could
be
keep him in
patient
check
with PJ.
Yeah,
because
that's a fact.
I'm going to get 27 from him. I'm going to get 30 from him. I'm going to get 8 from him. I'm going to get 15 from him. PJ, all I need you to do, that's when they start talking, all I need you to do is just be right there and I'm going to get it to you. The pressure is on me, Luka, and everybody else. He has time to grow and develop and understand this from our perspective, and he's learning from seasoned vets that are going to be Hall of Famers. So that dust is going off on him. He's understanding how they look at the game. So he's getting better, and they're patient with him. Mark, I give it to Mark Cuban. He's a great owner. He's a player owner, coach,
Yeah.
fan.
He runs the team the way, like, I feel like we would run a team.
PS5's in the locker room for everybody, right? That's exactly what we want.
You wanted beer, right? It's there. It's there.
Yeah.
Whoa, the beer. Hold on, that was a whole
I like that.
situation.
I like the beer.
Yeah.
It was so casual. He checked them without checking them.
And then also it shows you like the camaraderie from ownership down to player that Luka wasn't like.
Luka respected that.
Yeah.
He respected it. He didn't fully it didn't dawn on him until he realized like, yo, this beer gonna make me heavy. Right.
I think it's more so the cameras are here. Get your ass in the fucking locker room, and you could have as many beers as you want. I don't think
I'm kind of with you on this one.
I don't.
It's the job's not done yet.
Yeah.
The beer's gonna make you heavy. We still need you. When you start
I think
putting
he has a beer after every game, and I'm just gonna
That could
go
be his
on a limb.
PED though, bro.
Yeah, bro.
It could, but when you are putting beer in your body, your muscles perform different. You're more injury prone, especially if playing at that high level every day or every other day. You cannot play with alcohol in your system. You get bloat, you become heavy, you're dehydrated. It's not good for them. So I think that's what I feel like that's 90% of what it was.
LeBron James doesn't have a glass of wine every night.
Wine is totally different.
D Wade, is it different?
Wine is different from beer.
It's the grapes. It's fruit.
As someone who is,
it's
man.
definitely alcohol, but it's wine. But tomato, I guess.
I feel you though.
As someone who is a big fan of beer beverages of all kind, I could attest to that, bro. I should be in way better shape if it wasn't for beer and pizza. But that's for a different discussion.
Let's try one.
Let us know what you guys think about players being in bad situations and how it helps them. Let's get into the NBA Finals. George, I have a question for you to tee us off.
All right.
Are the right teams in the NBA Finals?
I think the Celtics have been on a one-way path to where they're at right now, and that makes perfect sense to me. If anybody else out of the East was in the NBA Finals right now, I think we'd be shocked. And that's why, like, as a fan this year, I've been rather subdued, because when you're at the top dog, you know, like, I mean, we've won 17 championships. I could be the annoying Patriots fan-esque person who's saying, oh, yeah, you know, like, get used to it. We're back here again. But I expected this. If they don't win the series, I will be upset. Now, on the West, I do not think that the right team is in the NBA Finals. I think that if the Nuggets wouldn't have had such a piss poor performance and Jamal Murray didn't take games off, I think they were going to be the team that went right through the Mavericks. I think matchup wise, they matched up really well versus the Mavs. And I think the Mavericks kind of, in a way, their toughest series to me was the Clippers series. But yeah, I'm shocked that the Mavericks have
Mavericks are 33-17, bro.
Same question to you.
They're 33-17 in the last what we call 50 games
since the All-Star break. Really?
So they're supposed to be there. The Nuggets was just a letdown. Everything's running through one guy, and he's 7 foot, 700 pounds. You can't continue to like run your offense through one guy. And that coach, again, he didn't allow this team. He didn't do load management at all this year. He didn't play his bench.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't play his bench. So I feel like the Mavericks were supposed to be there because they won every single game fair and square. In any position in the playoffs, you need that the king of that conference knocked off so that you can have a clear path. I don't want to face that Nuggets team. So I'm happy that Minnesota was able to knock them off in a tough series so that they were gassed against us.
True.
So we knocked them off. Now we play the Celtics. I think the Mavericks are supposed to be there. They got good at the right time and put the right pieces there. Them being 33-17 is no mistake. Kyrie's playing how he's supposed to play. Luka is being Luka, and then they put all the right pieces there that are putting those points on the board to get them those edgy, close wins. However they're getting them, whether they're pretty final shots, whatever, they're coming through. Now, how they perform against the Celtics team, I don't know, but I always said since the start of the playoffs, whoever came out of the West wins this because the West is a fucking tough place.
It's a gauntlet.
Yeah. No, for sure. There's a lot to break down there. If you listen to me, the right teams are in the NBA Finals. You know what I'm saying? Hey, listen, patting myself on the back. 11-1 odds, Celtics and the Mavs to be the finals. And it goes back to sort of your point earlier about PJ going there and him not needing to be the man because he got the 2 Hall of Famers. It was the biggest reason why in March I said, yo, get on the Mavericks bandwagon, because at 40-1 at the time, and look, I'll be honest, I didn't bet him at 40-1. I bet him at 25-1 right when the playoffs started. But at 40-1, you're betting on Luka and Kyrie in the playoffs, who, man, I just posted that video today when Booker and Luka were going at it a couple of years ago. And Luka leaves the arena and he goes, yeah, it's easy to talk when you up.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's comfortable, like the Jordan thing, what he said in The Last Dance. And then he goes Game 7 in Phoenix, and they're down 30, Phoenix is, at halftime. Call them soul snatchers. Like, they destroy a fan base. Kyrie and Luka, you saw what they did in Game 5. They combined for 70 points. I've said that the magic number is 65, Kyrie and Luka. And man, every win that they've had, they're north of 60 combined.
Yeah.
However they get there. And to Wayne's point, since the All-Star break, best records in the league. 21-6, the Nuggets and the Celtics. Then you had the Thunder at 20-8, and you had the Mavericks at 18-9, but an asterisk because Luka and Kyrie were sitting towards the end. Because they were like locked into their position.
Yeah.
They couldn't drop, they couldn't be in the play-in. So this team has like sort of is peaking at the right time. And then when you go even further, Celtics swept them in the regular season, 119-110. That was in January. However, PJ Washington was not there yet.
Correct.
Daniel Gafford was not there yet. That's in January. And then in March, this was sandwiched in the middle of 3 games and 5 nights, right? And the Celtics just blew them out. They beat them by 28. And in both games, though, Luka went crazy. Had a triple-double in both games. In the second meeting, when they did make the trade, PJ Washington had just gotten there. Gafford played 6 minutes. And to me, I think one of the biggest matchups in this series that I'm looking at is the Lively and Gafford, that boost that they give them against, Horford's been in the league for 17 years, bro.
It's interesting that you said Horford.
And I think that that matchup there, the bigs, I think is going to be really important. And also, you can't look at how they was playing in March, because how they're playing now is how you would want a team to be playing.
Mm-hmm. My thing is Porzingis coming back. That's the only guy that makes me nervous. Granted, you got limited minutes because he's super injury prone, but what's the game plan for him? Because now you're adding something to the Celtics. But I think we also have to understand this. If Halliburton is still playing, that Celtics series is actually still going on right now. The Celtics were actually supposed to be down, hypothetically, 3-1. They went into overtime with the Pacers the first game.
That Jaylen Brown 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Obviously, they beat them the second game. Close game, right?
Yeah.
Those 2 games that were in Indiana, they were down 14-16 in the fourth quarter. Halliburton plays, it's 2-2. You got game 5. That's an automatic game 7. The Celtics are really supposed to still be playing the Indiana Pacers in a tight series. Maybe even lose.
And it's interesting that you said that, because I felt that after game 1 and seeing the way that I was disgusted with their performance, because I was like, how can a team that's so ready to win a title put up a defensive performance like that? And the Pacers move the ball around well, they score.
Who do they have?
I get it. Just to close off here, though, Al Horford versus Miles Turner was the thing that I was watching in that Pacers series. You know who came out in game 2 to guard Miles Turner? And this, I think, might answer your question as to what the Mavs might see is Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown will guard the center and will guard power forwards. And you might see more of it too, just because the way that they switch off screens, where you see Horford picking up Luka, or you see Horford, well, he's definitely not picking up Kyrie, but you might see a lot of that thing to get set up for the switches.
If that happens, they're going to get hit with so many damn threes, bro.
I get you.
As someone that's bet on the Mavericks, I'm hoping to see Al Horford come out and guard Luka. And
it won't be right away, obviously, but you could see it situationally, because if they start gashing him down low, let's say Horford sucks guarding Gafford or Lively, they throw Jason Tatum at him, because that's their best big defender, or remotely big defender. You'd rather have him than Luke Cornett. And if Porzingis is, not himself.
Wayne's right, though. The Porzingis X factor is definitely the biggest one, because also the versatility with them defensively. Like, bro, they could throw Drew also. Drew's a hell of a defender. Yeah. You got Porzingis, you got Brown, you got Tatum. Like, they just got a lot of depth. And look, man, this is a team that they've held opponents to 18% from 3 these playoffs. And that's the lowest entering an NBA Finals in 25 years. So, like, this team is very good defensively. They have the number 1 defense in the league this year. And then you look at the Mavs, they got some streaky shooters, dude. Like, PJ, I think PJ and Jones, 51% from 3 they've hit these playoffs.
Jaden Hardy, rookie.
Yeah.
Like, these are guys. Yeah. And then, of course, is he really?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
You got Exum. You got Exum.
Yep.
You also have Tim Hardaway Jr., who will give you 8 points.
He's been there.
Right.
Too.
He's been there.
I don't know if I would expect much from him, though. I feel like they kind of just...
So the reason why I gave you the 8 points is because when you factor in scoring margins, those knick-knack points that those other players off the bench who don't have that radar, that bullseye on them, those points are the determining factor. If you go back to that OKC series and you pay attention to all the knick-knack points those bench players got, those were edge points. Those get you over the edge. Those get you over the humps. Those make up for missed free throws and everything else. Those players coming off of the bench, those little knick-knack points.
Yeah, like the Josh Greens
of the world. If you see what Jason Kidd is doing, his strategy is knick-knack points off the bench.
Trusting
8, 5, 3, 2, 7. Okay, y'all sit down. Luka, get 30. Kyrie, get 27. So that way, he's basing it off of, I feel like, math. Because if PJ falls short of his 12, the player on the bench made up for it. If Lively falls short of his 16, he had Hardy that scored 8. So it's all about math. And I mean, I feel like that's what he's doing. Because if you pay, he's putting these players in them small pockets. They're not playing much minutes, but they're scoring those knick-knack threes, those 5 points. It's odd points in there from bench players that get you over that edge.
And also the one thing that the report that came out about Jason Kidd that I found really interesting was the way he's handling Luka and Kyrie. His approach is very simple, and I think it's really interesting when
players coach.
Yeah, players coach, but also he's not telling them, yo, this is what you should do.
This is what I would do.
This is what I would do. Mm-hmm. And it's just a different perspective. It's
talking it from a player's perspective.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, yo, if I was a player, he's thinking, because he was one of the best of all time. Yeah. He's like, I didn't like it when a coach told me, this is what you got to do.
Yeah.
No. Kyrie, this is what I would do on the road, game 5 in this scenario.
Right.
Yeah. And to your point about players coach, I think it goes a long way, man. And I think that's one of the reasons why you've had this Kyrie renaissance, right? Like, yo, a lot of people are saying, and I've even said it too, but my issue was like the off-field, off-court stuff with Kyrie that people were slandering him for. But also he wasn't good for a little bit. Like those years, he wasn't as productive.
Oh, good. I was about to say,
he's always been
good.
But I'm saying like the Brooklyn tenure was a nightmare for many reasons.
He wasn't happy.
Yeah. And then
they crucified him because he didn't want to get the COVID shot.
Right. And he was only playing road games because he couldn't play in Brooklyn. That's a whole nother conversation. New York still in many spots hasn't recovered. However, Kyrie and Luka, I think one of the questions I wanted to ask you guys is, I don't know when the finals are going to end, but let's just say hypothetically they ended on a Sunday. We come back Monday. What's leading all the talk shows? What's our headline? Right? So let's play like armchair quarterback.
Yeah.
George, the biggest storyline if the Mavs win the finals is what?
Who needed who more is what I wrote as the headline. Was it Luka that needed Kyrie to come over, or was it Kyrie that finally needed a stable rock of a player to win that title? It's obviously bullshit clickbait, but you will see this throughout the entire summer if they do win the title, because we're a part of the media. This is exactly what they would say. Who needed who more?
I'm going to go with Kyrie's revenge.
Ooh, against Boston too.
I'm going to go with Kyrie's revenge. Kyrie needed this. This was for how they treated him, how the fans treated him. He needed to beat Boston in Boston. This was huge. This was monumental. This was a huge win for Kyrie because of how they've treated him and they boo him, and he's been through so much. This story is more about Kyrie, less about who needs who, because Kyrie, obviously, he needs his team, and him and Luka, great 1-2 punch. But this championship is more about Kyrie than it is anybody else. Because if you pay attention, that negative stigma has been on him for about 5 years. Damn near to what he tweets, what he watches, his stick that he brings to games. Everything about Kyrie irritates everybody for some strange reason. And I really, truly don't get it, because all that matters is what that man does on the court. And he don't bother nobody. If you think about Kyrie, bro, he bothers nobody. He's been the most criticized, scrutinized player in the NBA since he refused to get the COVID vaccine. The shot. Since he chose what he wanted to do. This is more about Kyrie than it is Luka, than it is about anybody else. This is his revenge. And that's the picture that I see, and that's the picture that's going to be painted about this championship. Kyrie goes to Boston and win it.
I like it.
If that's going to be the headline.
Right. Well, it's such a good combo because I agree with you. I kind of do think it's more Kyrie than Luka because like Luka's supposed to be this guy, right? Like he's made the All-NBA team 5 years in a row.
Luka's the favorite son. He's the favorite son, bro.
Yeah.
Luka's a good guy. He's a good son. Kyrie's the bad son. He's the stepson that's bad but good at everything.
True.
That's what he is, bro.
Yeah, I mean, I do see how the headlines, without a doubt, would read.
Bro,
Kyrie.
Luka's the golden child.
Luka needed Kyrie. Boom.
He's getting $350 million after this.
Yeah.
They needed to be in the finals. He's getting $350 million after this.
And
Joker's getting $500.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too, where it seems like whenever guys come into the league and they're like the golden child, the golden son, we kind of give you a grace period at first.
Yeah.
But then after like year 5 or 6, it's like, bro, when you gonna get to the finals? Like you said, we're about to give you $400 million.
He had to get there.
You had to get there.
Whether he wins or not,
right?
It doesn't fall. The win falls on Kyrie. The loss falls on nobody. Because it's going to be Luka carried us there.
Got it.
Kyrie's story is the win, but Luka got us here. So there's 2 stories that's going to be like the triumph here. It's going to be either at least Luka got us here, man. And then they win. Kyrie did it in Boston. He beat Boston. Kyrie got him back.
He'd have to win the MVP.
Kyrie?
In order for the headlines to read Kyrie's revenge.
I don't think they're going to give it to him. They're going to give it to their favorite son.
He could have a crazy series.
They're going to give it to their favorite son, Luka.
Yeah.
Because Luka's up for $350 million. Kyrie's, when
it's your first one, you get it.
I also think Luka could impact the game more too. Because he can have triple doubles, where Kyrie's he's scoring more.
He's streaky though. Right now, he's been playing really like up, on and off to me. I don't like when he scores 16 points. His average is he's 27 points a game. When he scores under that, they either lose by 6 or 7.
Yeah.
Because him not scoring affects everybody else. So they need him to score. But I think if they win, Luka gets MVP because he's Luka. And how he performed that last game against Anthony Edwards, bro.
Yeah.
And he's gonna eat again. He got 9 days of rest.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and not drinking beer too. Yo, so I want to go a step further. I think a conversation that might happen is because everybody, the next shiny new toy. It's like, yo, can he be the GOAT? Can he be in that combo?
Well, he just removed Anthony Edwards' face from it.
Yeah.
And I think that was done the last series.
So Luka, through his
face of the league,
through his first 6 seasons, averaging more points, assists, and rebounds than LeBron, with less games played. He has more total points than him with less games played. And then if you look at it, Luka, 2 first round appearances in a conference finals, now a finals. LeBron at the time had 1 NBA finals, 2 semifinals appearances, 4-time All-NBA team for Luka, 4-time All-NBA team for LeBron. The biggest difference is a regular season MVP. But if Luka gets a ring in his first appearance, you could see it, bro. Yo, he just turned 25 in February. Can he be the GOAT? Because, that's like the most clickbaitable shit. Anytime someone wins a title, it's, yo, is he the next guy to be? It happened with Mahomes. It'll happen with Luka if he wins. Shit, it happened with Jokic last year, too.
If Luka wins, he is the face of the NBA.
Yeah,
if Luka wins,
he does more media-wise.
He'll be highest paid player.
Jokic.
Yeah.
Be highest paid player.
Because he also embraces the media, too.
Yeah, that's
he gives you some funny moments.
His personality, too.
Yeah, he's way more
personable. You can't
personable.
do that with Joker. He doesn't give you anything. Anthony Edwards is a great player. He's a great athlete. But will he ever get the job done?
Yeah.
So is your headline who will be the
I like Anthony Edwards.
Or Luka's the next GOAT?
Yeah. Yeah. If they win and he wins
the
NBA
GOAT.
Finals MVP,
he's
it's like, yo, he's the next GOAT. He's 25. Look at his numbers. And he also, you know how I always make that running joke how Tim Duncan was so great for 20 years because he was the same speed in 2K when he got into his rookie year. And then like when he retired, it's like, yo, he he wasn't like obviously he's an athlete, but what I'm
Right.
saying, like, he wasn't built on athleticism. Where you look at guys like Blake Griffin, like once he started getting hurt and breaking down, you're not as explosive.
Yeah.
John Wall, the same thing. Russ, the same thing. Where it's like Luka kind of plays the same speed. He'll probably be playing the way he is now.
So he's 38, 37.
Yeah. For 14 more
He'll
seasons.
he'll be on the Mavericks his whole career.
He has the possibility of being the first player since Shaq to win the scoring title and NBA Finals MVP if he does win the MVP, and that's all the way back. We're talking 24 years since that happened.
And then also, last thing, staying on the Mavericks. If the Mavericks win, the storyline is 18-1 at the start of the playoffs for Luka for MVP. 18-1 for the Mavericks to win the finals. 40-1 if we go back and, I got the clip ready, right? We're doing a little, hey, I said this back in March, and then it's going to fade to a black and white image, throwback style.
Remember when I said this?
Yeah. And, who loves to pat themselves on the back more than I do when I'm right? Like, come on now.
And you're a great investor. I told you, if people bought the Patreon, they would be well up.
Best $5 you could spend.
Yeah.
Best $5 you could spend in
price gonna go up.
Sports media. Damn, you ain't kidding.
Wayne just said it's going up.
That's what I like to hear. All right, like on the flip side, right? Let's not only praise the Mavericks.
Thank you.
Caitlin Clark.
Celtics. If the Celtics win, what's the storyline?
Finally did it.
I think it's that simple.
Finally.
About time.
Yeah, ring in Boston.
You should have had one by now. This core.
Ring in Boston.
Yeah, another banner.
Danny Ainge wins his 4th NBA title.
Youngest coach, right?
He was the one that set up the trade when he sent Paul Pierce and KG away for all those Nets picks, and we end up getting Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. He is way more responsible than Brad Stevens is, who is our current GM for this. And I do think that the Bostonians will recognize that if it wasn't for Ainge thinking with a crystal ball into the future, this doesn't happen. And we don't end up with two of the greatest Celtics to ever play.
I do also believe that they want to be right about that coach switch off.
Oh, yeah.
So Boston has a lot riding on this. If they don't make it this year and they have so many tools, I don't know if they ever will win it.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's over.
Especially
If
when
they
you
don't win
think
it, it's over.
The West,
the West
is
is
getting better.
too strong, bro.
And then also, how lucky were the breaks that they got? No Giannis, no Dame. I know they didn't play them, but I'm saying like that route is different. The Knicks injuries, Halliburton, like you were saying.
Jimmy Butler was out.
They
swept the Heat. They're never going to have a clear path like this ever again, and they're only going to get older. If they don't win this year, unfortunately, we may not see a Celtics ring ever. The Mavericks win this year, the tide changes. The Mavericks, that up-and-coming team, the West is going to be so much stronger if the Mavericks win, because that team staying together is dangerous.
Yeah.
The Timberwolves staying together is dangerous. The Lakers and the moves that they're going to make is dangerous. The Clippers, OKC is dangerous. Like the Warriors is still dangerous.
Yeah.
Man, bro, Sacramento, you have all, the West is so strong.
Bro, don't forget about like Wemby too. Like Wemby is like one or
the
two
Spurs.
vets away from they're back.
Dude, the Spurs, the Rockets.
So it's pretty clear that if the Mavericks win this NBA title, they don't come in as the favorite to win the title the next year.
No way.
Nah.
I think OKC does. Again.
How far down
Shit,
are they?
I think it might be Boston again, bro.
Yeah.
Like even if Boston loses, I could see them being the favorite because of the path. Like you said, bro, West is. We were talking about it a couple of weeks ago. Like, yo, if you're not the Thunder, Nuggets, Mavs, or the.
I think Boston will try to. They'll be favorites to win again.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Bro, even with.
Because all their guys are under contract.
Yeah, but even with OKC being a year older, more gelled.
For sure.
And more mature NBA-wise, bro, that team is not
Wayne, you're absolutely right. But think about what you just said, how stacked the West is. Like, I would make a bet right now, and I'll ask you guys this question too. Who do you think has a better chance of getting here next year? I think
from the West?
No. Like between the Mavs and the Celtics, I think the smart money would be on Boston because, to your point,
I'm gonna be real. I think Pacers are the Knicks.
Right. Well, I would say
They're looking too strong.
I would lean towards Boston
So
because to
much potential.
your point, like the Thunder are going to come back. Now they got the experience, right? You got Minnesota, you got Denver, you got Dallas. Who knows what's going to happen with the Clippers, like the Lakers, like you said, Sacramento, these teams where I think that if you're looking at it, I would bet money that the Celtics have a way better chance of getting to the finals than the Mavs do because it's just like
coming from the East.
Yeah, that's
But if you have a healthy Giannis, that Knicks team look great. The Pacers are only going to get better. You got the Heat. You never can count them out.
Yeah. I mean, it's still, it's tough.
They are gunning at the Celtics too, bro.
Like the Celtic, I mean, I think we're making light. It is not easy to make the NBA finals, no matter how lucky you get. So I do think there are teams in the East.
I'm saying with the clear path, though, bro.
Yeah.
Come on, G,
but the Celtics got one more year after this with the core that we've invested almost a fucking $1 billion into. So, if they don't get it done, it's looking good for other teams in the East. At the beginning of the season, I thought the Bucks were going to make it to the NBA finals. I thought it was going to be Bucks Nuggets.
Now with Dame, the team just needed. It's too much coaching. I think they're too desperate to want to win right today. They're not giving nobody a chance. They're switching coaches middle of the season. Giannis coaching. He want to play point. Dame is theirs. There's too much going on over there.
True.
It's a broken home. It's a broken home.
Let's wrap with this. Yeah. Let's wrap with this. At least this segment. Predictions. I kind of have a pretty strong take.
Okay. Start us off.
The Celtics, because of the path like we were talking about, no Jimmy Butler, the Knicks injuries, the Pacers injuries, Giannis getting hurt, Dame not being fully healthy and not being happy in Milwaukee. They kind of remind me of those top seeds you would see in the NFL that would get to, maybe not the Super Bowl, but they would get to the conference final. And you're like, bro, they haven't played anybody. Or like, remember Tennessee had the #1 record in football a couple years ago, and then they lost at home.
Yep.
And they were like a 4-point underdog at home. You're like, well, this is what happens. You haven't played anyone good. When New England, the last year with Brady, it's like, yeah, you're hosting a playoff game, but you're playing Tennessee, who's way better than you are, but you have the Patriot and the Brady tax that you got to pay on them. That's kind of how I feel about Boston. I feel like they haven't been tested. I think now Kyrie and Luka, to Wayne's point, you got 2 future Hall of Famers there. You get Gafford, you get PJ, you get the Jones contributions. Like, this team is playing really well right now. And I think they're a buzzsaw that's peaking at the right time where, yeah, KP coming back, that's definitely a big addition. But, bro, you haven't played in 6-7 weeks. Now you got to go out there full strength, full speed in the NBA Finals. I think that's going to be a different wrinkle. I know I'm financially invested in the Mavericks, so there might be some bias in there. But if I wasn't, bro, the one bet that I'm looking at on rebet and just across the board, I think the Mavs put them away in 5. I think it's a 5-game series. I think they split in Boston, the first 2. They go back to Dallas. They take care of business. I think Dallas actually has a better home court advantage than Boston. Boston is like 17-16 in their last, what would that be, 30-something playoff
Don't let
games
the record
in Boston.
confuse you.
Look, I just think
go
that
off the numbers though, bro.
I think that the home court advantage leans more towards Dallas. And I just think right now the way Luka and the Kyrie revenge, to Wayne's point, bro, when they matched up, I was like, yo, the 12-1 Mavs in 5. I didn't throw too much on it because I have the big futures because I took the Mavs when I did. But man, to me, I think this is a 5-game series for the Mavericks.
Amazing.
I am definitely clipping this, and I'm probably going to get fried.
I think the Mavs win.
Yeah, especially on the home court advantage. I mean, good thing you had a stat to back you up, because optically and just decibel level wise, it is going to be night and day difference. I told you last week, there's not too many teams in the NBA that have true home court advantage. Boston's one of those teams that has a true home court advantage. Sucks that the numbers can't back me up on it. But if I'm going to go next, I'm obviously wearing the Celtics jersey for a reason. I've been a lifelong fan. Was a fan back in the day with Paul Pierce, Rondo, KG. You know, I got hopeful. This is a Kyrie jersey. But Nick, I told you before the show, I was going to give you this Kyrie jersey because I'm over it. I had to pull it out of the trash, and I got to put on a championship jersey. I may not take this off till the Celtics win again, but this was the last time the Celtics won a title. One of the greatest point guards of all time, Rondo, with the gold trim. So Nick, I've gone shirtless once on your show.
Let's go. Look at that
Call it
extra
number
sweater
2.
he got
Hey, a little
underneath there.
extra hair.
Call it number 2. I told you that was in the trash. So,
Bro, I don't know if I could accept this for many reasons. As a Knicks fan, also this 18-1 we're holding, but you know what?
No, you could put it on the floor. You could burn it. Honestly, I don't give a fuck.
No, we're not burning jerseys. We won't do that.
But this is my last thing. All right, so
Look at this guy.
I've had this for a while. This was in my classroom. This is just the NBA championships we've won. We're going to be adding 2024 down here at the bottom somewhere. I'll pay out of my own pocket for it. Obviously, I bought this a long time ago. Celtics win it in 5 for a lot of reasons. One, Jason Tatum, out of all the GOAT conversation and everything, neither one of you guys has said that his name should be up there. This is his second NBA Finals. As far as players and teams that, or the players that have been there, the Celtics match up perfectly. They got the experience. I think Jaylen Brown is just as hungry as Tatum is. And, you know, people must have forgot that this man, Jason Tatum, in his rookie year was doing exactly what he's doing right now. I mean, I could go on and on about why the Celtics are the better team in this matchup. The one thing that I will agree to you, and that's why I chose them in 5, Game 1's going to be a dogfight, bro. I am so excited for Thursday night because I know that game is going to come down to the last possession. If you can make that bet anywhere, make it, because it's going to happen. Whoever has the ball less will have the opportunity to win the game. But other than that, I think the Celtics have needed those slight reminders of like, holy shit, we actually do have to play good basketball, even though the stars are hurt on the other side. They do need that wake-up call, and I've noticed that. That's why I'm choosing Celtics in 5. And yeah, I should have said the headlines will read, y'all must have forgot, Jason Tatum is the face of the league.
I think Mavericks, I think 4-6. I think they go to a game 10.
Game 10.
Yeah. I think they do something special and extend it to a game 10.
It's like, this is the greatest NBA Finals ever.
Let's keep it going. Now, I like the Mavs in the game 7. I think it's going to go game 7 just because of TV time and marketing purposes. So I think there's going to be they have to add the dramatics and the antics in there just because it's needed for the series. But I like the Mavericks just because I think there's what we're looking at is the growth and the emergence. We're seeing Luka. And this is the arrived. I have arrived year for Luka. There's a lot on the line for him. There's a lot on the line for Mark Cuban too, and the city of Dallas and what's happening out there. But I think we're seeing, this Luka era come into play. He has a huge contract, the largest contract in NBA history, $349 million on, and I think they're going to come to play. By no stretch, I'm saying that this is going to be an easy series at all, but I'm giving them an edge just because they are an underdog and everybody is expecting the Celtics to win. Now, there is a lot of money riding on the Mavericks too, I'm sure, but I think that everybody's expecting Jason Tatum to be that guy because at one point, Jason Tatum had the carpet laid out for him like Luka. Now, the reason why he's not in those GOAT conversations is because I think that we've waited and we haven't got anything. So now it's like, okay, who else is there? I think Luka has been appointed that guy, and I think a lot of stuff is going to go the Mavericks' way, whether it's calls, magnets, everything is going to be on the line. They're pulling out all the hat tricks. It's going to be a fun, edgy series, but I still got to give it to the Mavericks. I think those boys deserve to be there, and I think they played their ass off to get here. And they're playing different, bro. I mean, how many games have they lost in this whole playoffs?
So they lost 2, 2, and 1, 5. They've lost 5 games.
They lost 5 games. How many games have they played in total?
6, 12, 17. So
they played
12,
17 games in total the whole
5,
series?
Yeah.
So they're
12 and 5.
12 and 5?
Yeah.
Bro.
They're, like I said before, man, they're peaking at the right time. And, fun fact, last time there was a Game 7 featured Kyrie Irving in the finals.
Right.
2016. So you got a little bit of that. And since 2000, if the Mavs went on to win this finals, consensus plus 185 across all sports books, Rebet has them at plus 175. This would be the third biggest underdog to cash. The 04 Pistons at plus 500, which is wild because they beat the shit out the Lakers. It was like a 4-5 game series that they beat them. The 2019 Raptors were plus 225, and then you got the Mavs this year, 2024, at plus 185. So it'll be a big case for the underdog to be howling if this does happen.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very excited for you, man, because to have the opportunity to watch this play out, I mean, for those of the people that are loyal listeners, they know I had a Lions, Ravens Super Bowl pick where I wanted the Lions to win. So I'm sitting here, I'm seeing you fucking play an exacta with a chance to win. I'm pumped for you.
Yeah, and also staying on this, I like that you mentioned it because the people have been asking me, because right now I have a $50 ticket. The cash out is $350 for both the Luka and the Mavericks. I'm not cashing out because I also hit the Celtics Mavs. So like I'm up on the playoffs. This one I'm just enjoying. I might hedge if I could get a plus number on the Celtics and they drop game 1. I might do that.
Right.
To like lock in a good $500-$600. I won't cash out because I think when they offer you a cash out, it means that you have a good bet and you have good numbers. What would you rather have, 18-1 or plus 185?
Right.
It's kind of a no-brainer. So that's why the cash out is there. So I'm waiting to see. I think the reason why you shouldn't cash out, again, unless it's life-altering money, $900 isn't going to change much for me, right? Now, if it was $90,000, I might be like, yo, I'm going to cash out. That's a down payment on a crib. That's a lot of things I can do with that.
We're doing something.
Right? We're doing something. But there's opportunities for you to hedge later down the road as opposing to cashing out, right? So like if it goes, one bet that I can make, because, it's wishful thinking for Mavs in 5. I'm kind of with Wayne. I think it goes 7. I could bet the Celtics to win in 7 at plus 400 on a minus 225 favorite. So then if it does go 7, it's like,
it's already taken care of. Yeah.
I'm going to be about 1,000 up on whoever wins.
Yeah.
But I would rather the Mavs win because of the brand and the show and all that shit. But that's why I think it's very important not to cash out. I think you can hedge later on. So that's where we're at with this. Check out Rebet. Use the promo code VM. Get all your NBA Finals picks, futures, games, player props. They're only having a 2% VIG throughout the NBA Finals. No one else is offering that. So you could get minus 102 as opposed to minus 110. That's wild. They're very kind, right? Shout out to Rebet. Use promo code VM. They're going to match your deposit up to $100. And like we've said, we gave out a bunch of money in May to fans and to Patreon members. Patreon.com/veterans minimum for all things Patreon. Before we let Wayne go, I want Wayne to give a shout out to anything you want to shout out, bro. Anything you want to plug.
Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys having me on, always showing me love. You guys can follow me on Instagram at the creator, CR38TOR. And I want to again just touch on the Caitlin Clark thing. I think again, Angel Reese. I think we're all watching the WNBA because of all you guys, not because of Caitlin Clark, not because of Angel Reese. Just we got that discussion. Just has to. Because of every woman in the NBA, we're watching it. It's been because of. I mean, I don't even see Chicago games. Like it's because of everybody in there.
Nah, for sure. Especially
Yep.
the impact they had during March Madness.
Yeah, I
Now
think-
it's just transition into the
Yeah, I
next.
think
next
that's
level.
the discussion that people need to stop pinpointing while we're watching it.
Yeah,
no,
I
it's been good.
I got a plan for a future episode coming up.
Yeah.
Gonna have some really interesting guests. Definitely get you two on there too. We're gonna go to break and we'll be right back.
Peace.
All right, before we continue with yet another betting scandal going on in baseball and in pro sports, big ups to the members of the Patreon. If you're watching this on YouTube, youtube.com/veterans minimum cheap plug. We got the Patreon tiers up here. We have a $1, $5, $10, $20, and a $40 tier. Shout out to Mahul Patel. We just sent you the merch bundle last week. I should have sent it months ago, but you guys know sometimes I got too much shit going on. But I always promise to deliver and make sure you guys get all your stuff. So shout out to Mahul Patel, Daniel Gibson, Abel Rezin, Ben Kotzian, Christopher Velasquez, Derek Platees, Dylan Chadwick, Jerry Shapiro. And then also we have Nick Crummage, Mike Wozniak, Mike Stevens, and Jordan Riley. Thank you all for your contributions to the Patreon. Some of you have already reached out to me about sending you merch. I've got your addresses. I just got to go about actually sending it out. So I plan on doing that sometime by the end of this week. Hopefully that gets to everyone by next week. And support for the show comes from Patreon, patreon.com/veterans minimum. Okay. Back to the show. Betting scandal.
Yes, dude. So this morning we got the report that the Padres infielder Tucupita Marcano, or it should be like Tucupita Marcano. He was betting on his self. So for the Padres, he also played for the Pirates. Nick, out of 231 bets that he placed, guess the percentage that he won.
231 bets he placed.
Correct. That they were able to track.
Percentage?
Yeah.
I feel like it's low. It's definitely not over 50. I'm going to go
If it was over 50.
37%.
Nick, he was a 4.3% better, meaning he only won 4.3% of the bets out of the 230 whatever he put in. Is it? I mean, so a lot of the comments...
He's the worst bettor of all time.
Bro, a lot of the comments were reading like, we're going to ban this dude, but the MLB presented by DraftKings, like he was making DraftKings money. So he was helping the sponsors. He's helping the Major League Baseball when they need to re-up for the next contract. That's what he was doing. And yet they give him a lifetime ban.
Wow.
Yeah.
So this is the second athlete that we know of in major American sports to receive a lifetime ban because of sports betting. We are a sports betting show. Everyone knows this. It's been the one thing I've been the most passionate about probably my whole life. I've always been, I guess, a quote unquote activist. I'm pro betting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pro wrestling.
Yes.
I'm pro gambling. And I always felt very passionate about what I'm going to say. When sports betting got legalized in states outside of Nevada, what people were saying was the integrity of the game is going to be jeopardized. And my counter, because it was a new space, it was a new field, it's always been the sports books to sniff shit like this out to protect the integrity of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Arizona State basketball, there's an amazing 30 for 30 called Bad Sport on Netflix. Sorry, it wasn't a 30 for 30. Bad Sport on Netflix. It was the sports books being like, bro, we get a massive influx of kids betting on Arizona State to not cover the games. What is happening over there?
Yeah.
And then you start looking at these guys, Headache Smith, the point guard, is missing free throws in the first half, but then he's seeing like a lot of sketchy shit. It was the sports books that sniffed this out. It was the sports books that sniffed out Tim Donahue. It was the sports books that sniffed out Hawaii football, Boston College in the 70s or 80s, whenever that was. What I'm saying is the integrity of the sport is protected by the casinos and the sports books because they don't want you to win.
No.
All this fancy shit that we're sitting in and everywhere where you walk on the Las Vegas Strip, It's not because people are winners. It's because people are losers.
100%.
And it's the casinos and the sports books that go, hey, man, this dude on the Padres is betting on baseball. Look into that. Bam, lifetime ban. MLB, I looked up their rules and regulations. In the contracts, it's, if you get caught betting on baseball, you're out. Like, it's not, they rather you do PEDs, you'll get a year suspension or the 3-strike rule as opposed to betting.
Yeah. Bro, I'll do you one better. And it's horrible for me to say this. They'd rather you beat your wife than bet on baseball, because there has been players that have done exactly what I just said, committed domestic violence, and they're still playing.
I know it's a crazy thing that you let off with, but to your point, they've given dudes that have domestic violence cases 30 games and then they come back. But if you put a $25 parlay like this guy said, that's the thing. It's like, what's the precedent here?
Yep.
It's the same. Dude, the NFL was the same thing. You know when Ray Rice got in trouble for everything he got in trouble with?
Yeah.
It all started because it leaked that Roger Goodell saw the video and he said, 2 games, right? But it was kept private. But then when the video leaks from TMZ or wherever the hell it leaked from, and people saw, holy shit, what he just did to that woman in the elevator, how can Roger Goodell watch this video and then give him a 2-game suspension? That's why they came back and they said, bro, you're out the league for the year.
Mm-hmm.
That's what happened. And to your point, based on precedent, they rather you cheat, use PEDs. They rather you have domestic violence cases. They rather you have DUIs, all this shit, than you bet.
It's nuts. And I was telling Wayne before he left, there's a player in some professional sport right now, Nick, that is putting in bets, ignoring the signs, right? Ignoring all these fucking headlines. I certainly won't get caught. There will be another player in the next 3 months. Think about it, 90 days from now, there will be another professional athlete that gets hit from this.
Bro, hold on. We had Jonte Porter.
Yep.
Right? Raptors. You're not much of a soccer fan, but Paquette, he plays for West Ham in the Premier League, plays for the national team for Brazil. He just got charged by the English Football Association for breaching its betting rules. Former Alabama head coach of the baseball team was fired after a friend of his tried to make a $100,000 bet on the team. NFL, back to your point before we were saying about domestic violence, they'll give a player a 2-game suspension for domestic violence, but they'll give him sometimes a longer suspension. Like, what was a rookie on Jameson Williams? They gave him a 6-game suspension for betting. Mm-hmm. It's like, bro, what is... No, it's crazy because it's the bottom line.
Yeah. And hear me out, right? I don't know about the soccer player. Was he a really good soccer player?
Oh, he plays on the Brazilian national team. He started at the last World Cup.
I was trying to think of like an analogy in which they're kind of just pinpointing the players that don't necessarily matter. Let's not forget Shohei Ohtani at the beginning of the year was under a fucking microscope.
Yeah.
With the way that, my interpreter putting in bets for me, 10, 12 home runs later, Shohei's leading in every category. We're just going to forget about that. But Tupica Marcano, bye-bye.
And here's the last thing that I'll say too about this. And we'll dedicate an episode over the coming weeks about this stuff. And I have some people in mind I want to discuss this conversation with. If you are a professional athlete and you're willing to jeopardize your future, we were breaking down the Jonte Porter stuff. Like, bro, if you're on the veterans minimum cheap plug and you play 10 years in the league, you're probably going to make about $25, $30 million.
Yep.
And you're jeopardizing that for a couple $1,000s. That to me, bro, as someone that used to have an addiction to gambling, it's an addiction.
Yeah.
They're not thinking right. It's on their phone. It's so easily accessible. Hell, everything is brought to you by DraftKings, brought to you by FanDuel. Welcome to the BetMGM club here at the Yankee Stadium. Like all the shit, it's around them. And now it's even more accessible. Where in the past, it would be like, bro, George is the quarterback for UNLV. He's always at the sports book. What's going on? Now George could grab his girlfriend's phone and well, let's take the points here.
Yep.
It's only going to get worse. The accessibility, it's going to get worse. But if you're a professional athlete and you're jeopardizing like the Ohtani stuff, which everything points to it actually being his interpreter, which I was wrong at the time. I was like, this kind of seems sus.
He's doing it.
It seems like he's going to be the fall guy. But it's an addiction, bro. It's an addiction. And it was around this time last year when I put out that video that my worst addiction in my life was gambling. And until I started creating content and I ventured into this space where I got the same fix telling people to bet on the Eagles -4 and it hitting than it would be for me hitting a $100 bet. And that was the thing that that video went crazy on some of the social medias. And it's a real thing. And I think these athletes have that addiction to gambling, which is why they're willing to jeopardize millions of dollars in their careers. Bro, you get a lifetime. It's a wrap for you, bro.
Yeah.
Pete Rose still ain't in the Hall of Fame because he bet. They don't fuck around with that shit. And the fact that you're willing to jeopardize all of that for $150,000 that you bet, $87,000 on Major League Baseball games, 25 of the 231 bets involved the Pirates, the team he was on at the time. And he was on the injury list. He didn't play the end of that season while he was recovering. But the majority of Marcano's bets were placed while he was injured. You can't bet on your sport. And it's also been something that I've said in the past too. If you're in the MLB and you're in Vegas for the Super Bowl, it's your offseason, and you want to take the Chiefs -3, by all means, bro. I don't think you should get in trouble for that. If Devin Booker comes to Vegas next week and he wants to bet on the NBA, I think that's a little sketchy. I wouldn't be cool with that because you know the sports. You've talked to athletes. They know this shit. I've told the story about Will Blackman. We're in his suite here at the Wynn when we were recording Upsets and Underdogs, the show we used to do together. And like, bro, he named 4 straight plays in a row. It's like they know more than all of us do because they were in the trenches.
Yep.
So I have a problem with you betting on your sport, and you shouldn't. I'm super against that. But if you're a dude in the NFL, it's the offseason, you're in Vegas, it's May, and you want to bet on the NBA Finals or the playoffs, you shouldn't get in trouble for that.
Yeah.
And that's where I think I draw the line. But this guy was betting on his sport.
Yeah. And I mean, like, bro, just do what Pete Rose did and fall in love with the horses. You know what I mean? You are never going to go wrong betting those horses. It's 2 separate things. You know, I just figured this out when I tried to bet the Kentucky Derby this year. You need a horse racing account, not just a sportsbook account.
Yeah.
Fall in love with that. Get addicted to that. I mean, it's probably just as fun, I would imagine, if you're betting that amount of money. I'm telling you, Nick, as we're recording this right now, there is a professional athlete putting a bet in, and we're going to find out about it soon enough. And then how many more do we see? I mean, the number just steadily increases every single year. I've mentioned it on this show before, and I still need to come out with a video at how we can make this happen. It's got to be some way to put it into the contract. There's got to be a way. You know, like if we are a association where our main presenting sponsor is a sports betting site, why can't I work it into my contract to have, whenever we're playing, give me money line betting on myself? And then you have a certain amount of dollars, whether it be 100,000, 200,000, that you're allotted to bet over a season.
It's interesting, man, because I'm also kind of in favor if you do bet on yourself. Like we had this discussion with Ryan Garcia, right? Came out that Ryan Garcia had bet on himself. There's no like real governing body in boxing and in combat sports. There is, like, you have the UFC, but there's been many fighters in the past that have bet on themselves and then they end up losing. So they'll put their purse up. So it's allowed there. And like we said on a prior podcast, if you guys don't remember, go and check that out again, how it's the commissions. Some commissions allow that. And it's because it's combat sports, it's a little different. But with team sports, if you're betting in favor of your team winning, I still don't like it. Truthfully, I still don't like it if this guy is betting on the Padres to win. I think you shouldn't bet on your own sport. In baseball, you're not allowed to bet at all. Yeah. And in some sports, you're not allowed to bet at all. But yo, you're right, bro. Dude, we said it when Ohtani first happened. Like, it's going to be happening every couple months. There's going to be, because even if I'm a pro athlete and I'm having you bet under the table for me, one disagreement we have, one fallout we have. You're like, yo, bro, I'm gonna need $100K to keep my mouth shut. Well, I'm not paying you. Well, hey, Buster Only, come here, or come over here, whoever. Cam and Mace.
Couldn't name another MLB guy.
I couldn't name another.
Buster Only was good.
Buster Only was good. That was off the top.
That was
there.
good.
That was good. What's the other guy? Jeff Passan.
There we go.
There we go. I got two. But that's what happens, bro. Like I always say, it be your own.
Yeah.
It's your own people.
Oh, man. These guys are idiots.
Yeah.
Have fun playing in Mexico.
It's gonna, yeah. They're gonna have to go to another league. Yep. They're allowed to play baseball, just not in the MLB. So that's it for today's episode.
Hold on.
What up?
I know this is a big soccer podcast. One of the clips that you made a while back with talking about your favorite sports moment still blows up my phone to this day. Glad I collaborated on that one. But in soccer news, Mbappe, Real Madrid. I'm not a soccer guy, so what is the equivalent to this in other sports, like NFL or NBA?
Is a great question. It did dominate headlines in the sports world. It led Sports Center the other night, which was crazy. So a little backstory. Real Madrid just won the Champions League. We bet on that too, plus 600, you know. Like I said, George, no one likes to pat themselves on the back more than I do. But Real Madrid wins on Saturday. Then Monday, they sign Kylian Mbappe from PSG. And they basically get him for free. That's a whole different conversation. The equivalent, and I'm going to give a shout out to my buddy Rick. He said, imagine if the Chiefs, who just went back-to-back, 2 days after the Super Bowl, signed Justin Jefferson. And for free.
Ugh.
That would be, and I told him, I reposted, I was like, bro, I'm so jealous of this take because it's perfect. Because that's exactly what it would be like, right? It would be, you know, in basketball news, imagine if the Celtics, right? Because I would say Real Madrid and the Celtics, like the Celtics are stacked, like we were talking about before.
The history, though.
And the history, too. Yeah. The history of it. Say they go on and they beat the Mavericks, and then, all right, say it goes 7, June 23rd, the finals end, right? June 26th, they sign Jokic. That's what it would be. Yeah. No trade.
Nuts, dude.
We keep KP, Drew, Tatum, Brown, Porzingis. I said KP. Horford, and now we're adding Jokic for free. That's the equivalent that it would be.
So, me being a layman, how do they do something like this? Like, is it his contract is so in distributed
soccer,
in a way?
In soccer, there's no salary cap.
Beautiful. We love that.
It's amazing. What does happen is when a player is under contract, there's a thing called a transfer fee. So say I'm Real Madrid and you're PSG. This was 2 years ago. Real Madrid would have had to pay 200 million euros to buy the rights to Mbappe's contract. That's usually how it goes. However, his contract expired. PSG got dick, and he went to Real Madrid for free in the sense of Real Madrid didn't have to pay the team to acquire his contract. What they're doing now is, I don't know what the logistics are of his contract, but he goes there. There's no salary cap. It's the wild, wild west in soccer. And then that's also why you see teams like Man City, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich's of the world, like the wealthy clubs.
They always stay good.
They always stay good. So then when you have a Borussia Dortmund, who just went to the Champions League final, they're known for being the complete opposite. They develop players and then they sell them. Jude Bellingham just won the Champions League with Real Madrid, 20 years old. He was on Borussia last couple of years. And that's how some of the smaller clubs in Europe do.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's monumental, bro. Like, again, Justin Jefferson going to the Chiefs after they go back-to-back, and then imagine if the Celtics win the title, and then 3 days later, after the parade, after all the sunshine and rainbows go away, we're in the offseason, Jokic just goes to Boston for free. That's what it would be equivalent like.
The Dodgers just did it in baseball.
Dodgers, no salary cap.
And they just got Shohei. So,
yeah.
I get it, though. All right, thanks for breaking it down.
Nah, thank you for asking, man.
Soccer.
It's going to be, listen, this is going to be heavy. We got Copa America and Euro Cup. We always crush. We crushed the World Cup. We gave 9-1 odds on Argentina. You referenced the clip of my favorite sporting event of all time. Sports moment was Argentina versus France. France is going to be playing in the Euro Cup. Argentina is going to be playing in Copa America. So it's going to be a banger of a summer, man. Because then that's going to end around July 15-ish,
Yeah.
July 16th. And then, you know, a couple weeks later, it's training camp, and then we're in football season.
Yes,
So
sir.
it's going to be a fun summer. All things Veterans Minimum are at Veterans Minimum. At Nick Day is 10 as you can find me. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for following where you need to follow. Subscribe where you need to subscribe. Leave a comment, rate, review. We're pumping out more and more content. I'm excited for what's to come for the show. And again, the absolute best cosign is you listening and telling people and sharing the stuff, sharing the posts, sharing the clips, and sharing the podcast to your friends, family, girlfriend, uncle, boyfriend, cousins, all
What?
that. Tables, ladders, and chairs, all mine. So, yeah, thank you all for the support. George, where can they find you?
The time that I would spend talking about myself, I'm going to tell all your viewers, go to Patreon, pay the $5. If you are a person who gives money to homeless people on the side of the road and you're still not a Patreon member, I mean, we feel some type of way about you, $5. $5 with the potential of hitting all these bets that Nick is talking about. Do that. It's way better than following me. That's it.
Oh, big love. I'm going to have to pay for dinner for that then. I know something's coming. But we'll catch you guys next time.
In his element, I'm a gold medalist, bronze like your medal is. So many deer in headlights, but it's bedtime. Hear that supper bell, main course be the venison.
Dab. Most dangerous game. Either kill or be